Thank you, Greg. California's senior Senator Diane Feinstein has passed away. The 90-year-old Democrat had faced a number of health scares and challenges over the last year. The Democrat was the oldest member and the longest-serving woman in the U.S. Senate. She cast her final vote this past Wednesday morning. Feinstein was in her sixth term and had represented Californians in the U.S. Senate since 1992. After calls earlier this year for her to resign due to her health, the senator made it clear she planned on retiring at the end of her current term. Please join us in prayer for the senator's family, friends, and co-workers. The United Auto Workers say they have expanded their strike today after negotiations with the big three automakers showed no progress. According to UAW President Shawn Fain, this morning 7,000 auto workers from Ford and GM plants in Chicago and Lansing, Michigan joined the strike. The strike started on September 15th when 13,000 of 150,000 UAW workers walked off the job at just three factories, one in Michigan, one in Missouri, and one in Ohio. UAW leadership is demanding a 40% pay increase, the reintroduction of pension plans, and a reduced work week. The auto manufacturers have countered that the demands are too high and would make it impossible for them to be competitive. Florida Representative Matt Gaetz said Wednesday that Kevin McCarthy cannot remain Speaker of the House if he uses Democrat votes to support Joe Biden's spending priorities. Gaetz said that McCarthy could perhaps be the Democrat Speaker, but if he wanted to be the Republican Speaker, he couldn't use Democrats to preserve his power. House Republicans and Democrats are in a battle of differences over continuing aid to Ukraine. And the House Freedom Caucus said in August that they would oppose any blank check for Ukraine in any supplemental appropriations bill. During his appearance on Just the News, Gaetz was asked if he would start a motion to force a vote on removing the House Speaker. Gaetz said that would be a last resort move. Former Arizona gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake is set to announce her candidacy for U.S. Senate on October 10th, according to the Wall Street Journal. The former TV anchorwoman narrowly lost the state's 2022 gubernatorial race to then Democratic Secretary of State Katie Hobbs by 0.06% of the vote and refused to concede, claiming the election was stolen. Lake, a staunch supporter of former President Donald Trump, will reportedly announce her campaign to unseat independent Senator Kristen Sinema during a rally October 10th. Sinema has not announced yet if she will seek re-election. She was elected to the seat as a Democrat in 2018, but left the party in 2022. Representative Ruben Gallego is running for the Democratic nomination. Mike?
Unless lawmakers take action and find common ground on a budget deal by midnight on Saturday, the last day of September, the federal government will shut down. So what will that mean for the country? Active duty and reserve U.S. military personnel and many law enforcement officers will continue working, but be forced to do so without pay. Also working without pay, air traffic controllers and TSA officers, but the result could be flight delays and increased wait times to get through security. As for low-income Americans, more than 7 million who rely on the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, known as WIC, would lose their benefits. But Social Security recipients would reportedly continue to get their checks. And since the post office reportedly pays its bills by the sale of its services, the U.S. Postal Service will continue to operate. Veterans Affairs and the IRS will likely close or offer very limited services. In addition, only government workers deemed essential would be required to show up at work, and they, too, would not be paid until a budget deal is reached.
I recently spoke with political influencer and CEO of MillionVoices.org, John Graves. We talked about the change of tone in the second Republican debate and how Donald Trump became a target, especially for Ron DeSantis. Take a look.
And you know who else is missing in action? Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight. He owes it to you to defend his record where they added $7.8 trillion to the debt. That set the stage for the inflation that we have now.
DeSantis went after Trump on big spending, comparing him to the governor's own spending reductions in Florida. Do you think that attack works?
I do, actually, and I think it's about time that somebody's bringing it up. Economic issues are moral issues. Study the Bible. We're supposed to be good stewards with the resources, and they've been terrible stewards, and it's kind of ironic that they're finally bringing this up with Trump and Biden. It's not just Democrats. Republicans were doing it as well, and I think Trump's way of looking at things is, hey, if it doesn't work out, just file bankruptcy. That's what he's done several times for his business. So I think that's going to matter. I think he doesn't want to get on the stage with DeSantis over the whole lockdown Fauci thing either.
Okay, let's talk about today. On Capitol Hill, you heard that the story, the House Oversight Committee's first impeachment inquiry hearing. I want you to listen to this moment from Representative Byron Donalds addressing evidence.
This is the WhatsApp text message between Jim Biden and Hunter Biden. In this text message, it clearly says, anyway, we can talk later, but you've been drawn into something purely for the purpose of protecting Dad.
John, we're showing that message Representative Donalds just referenced next to you there. What do you think Hunter Biden is referring to when he says protecting Dad?
President Joe Biden. He's trying to protect his dad because that's the one who has the only asset in the Biden family that they were all making tens of millions of dollars. We thought it was at $5 million, then 10, then 20, then 40. The numbers just keep getting bigger as they dig for evidence. I think this is only going to get worse for the president, who shouldn't be there if the American people were told the truth about Hunter Biden and it wasn't suppressed by big tech and big government agencies.
Good point. A breaking story now out of Michigan. WTVB is reporting 11 state lawmakers have filed a federal lawsuit today against Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson for violating the United States and Michigan constitutions to change election laws, something you watch a lot. She allowed several actions, including voters signing affidavits instead of showing valid IDs, and same-day voter registrations, to name two things. Is Michigan's Secretary of State in hot water?
I think so, and I hope these kind of issues just keep going up. I'm aware of things happening in Wisconsin that are similar to this. This is in Michigan. There were across-the-board changes that violated the Constitution, and no one's ever had their day in court. No one's ever been able to present the evidence. If it gets all the way to the Supreme Court, hopefully they'll do the right thing and return us to constitutional elections.
We can only pray. That's what we need to happen. Now, Tulsi Gabbard exposed. Yeah, right. Absolutely. Tulsi Gabbard exposed the Democrats' biggest issue with conservative voters. Listen to this.
Most importantly, they have rejected the fact that our freedom comes from God, not the government, not any individual.
John, is this why the Biden administration's pursuing concerned school parents and peaceful pro-life protesters with the full weight of the FBI?
It absolutely is. They've weaponized the FBI. They've weaponized the DOJ. They're weaponizing all these three-letter unelected agencies. And I'll say it a different way. Tulsi is exactly right. I would say that to the far left, it's not that the government is who they're leaning on. The government is their God. They literally make that their God. Their only hope is in this world. Our hope is in the afterlife and in this life. But we've got to influence the kingdom of God from the heaven down here.